Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Lisa and Sam Chiodo. They are amazing, and we talk all Italy in this episode. I share a little bit about the trip I took in 2012, which was so memorable and amazing. And if you want to look up the tour company, which I can't speak any more highly of, I'll put that in the show notes. And they talk a lot about what their experience was, a little bit about where they live. And we just delve into a lot about their life and Italy and how different it is than what a lot of us are used to here in the States. So I love Italy, and it enabled me to really go back in time to those memories of when I've been there, and to talk about maybe future opportunities to go back and visit with Sam and Lisa. So, and we do talk a little bit about the workshop they have coming up. So I wanted to also mention that. So if you have any thoughts of maybe someday living in Italy, you should definitely check it out. Or if you're just curious about Italy. So with no further ado, let's get to part 2 and more about Lisa and Sam's life in Italy. Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Lisa and Sam Chiodo. Is that right? Did I get it right?
No.
No.
Chiodo.
Chiodo. All right. So we're going to talk this episode, because last episode we were just talking about your adventure and how you moved there, being so brave. Did you see them? I called it the fearless family. Did you see that?
I love that.
Yes. So we're going to just talk about Italy, because Italy is like one of my favorite places. I have been lucky enough to travel there like 4 times. And you inspired me to go look at my itinerary from 2012. We went on this self-guided hiking tour, and it was 5 days. And we only did it because my husband has a friend he plays rugby with, and he and his girlfriend were doing it. And we heard about it, and we were like, kind of invited ourselves to go because it was so interesting. And they're like world travelers. And I thought, well, if we're going to go anywhere like that we don't know, they're a good couple to go with. And she specced it all out. So we just, okay, whatever you say, we'll go. And it was the trip of a lifetime. Seriously, trip of a lifetime. And it was in Tuscany. So I looked up, and I'll share with you the cities. So I looked at the tour place is still super active and has a ton of different trips. So I'm going to put that in the show notes too, so people will know what it is and that they can go there. But it's just so you know, I don't know if you guys have ever heard it, but it's called Girasol. It's Italy walking tours. Girasol, Italy walking tours. So I got really inspired, and I thought, I want to go back there. And they have a Amalfi Coast. I've never been down to the south. I've been to Capri because that was part of when I first went to Italy, it was part of a cruise. So there was we stopped and went into Rome, and we stopped and went into Naples. And then we did an excursion to Capri, but I've never been south of that. So
most people seem to stop at Rome and Capri, and then they're like, oh, can't go there, the mafia's going to kill us. But it's not the case. We've been there with a camper. And we traveled all the way to the islands of Sicily with a camper, obviously with a boat.
And I backpacked down there, on my own in my 20s, and it was fine.
Yeah.
The room was lovely.
Generally speaking, the people are not the way nicer. I'm saying they're a different breed. You only have to say hello, and you're in their house having lunch or dinner.
You what? What was that?
I said, they're different people down there. You're saying hello, and 5 minutes later, you're in their house having dinner.
Yeah.
Whereas the north is a little bit more suspicious.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Takes a lot.
Yeah, I remember Sorrento was a kind of a seaside town that we really loved. I remember that we went there and spent a day there just off the ship. But then I've been back, and I've been to Venice and Florence, and I've been to Florence a couple times because we did Florence on the front end of our walking tour for 3 days. And we went to a restaurant and made homemade pasta. So that was super fun. Do you guys have a pasta making machine? Do you make your own pasta? Yeah. Yeah, I bet. That's so cool.
When you say self-guided, did they give you a recording? Or
So
how did
yeah, what they do is they give you a cell phone. So you can, if you have an emergency, you can call them, and
Mhm.
they give you like a little booklet, and it
Mhm.
basically has instructions on each day and where to go. Instructions like go 10 kilometers. And of course, American here, I'm like, what's 10 kilometers? How far is that? And so yeah, so you had to like know how to convert that. And then you take a left at the white fence where the goats are. And then yeah, and then you go, 15 kilometers,
if they move the goats?
and the iron gate will open to, it was crazy. It was so much fun because it was like this. Have you ever seen The Amazing Race? Have you ever seen that
Yes.
show?
Yes.
Yes, it reminded me of that. And of course, it wasn't a race, but, and we didn't even figure this out till like day 3, but we started to notice that they had gold paint on like a tree. And
Mhm.
that would be a sign of that you need to go there. We did have one wrong turn where we kind of like went a mile, and then we were back at the same place where we started. And then we were like, oh, okay. But yeah, it would be easy to like, make the wrong choice. One time it said, I forget I think it said take a left, but we got to a fork and there were 3 choices. There were 3 choices. So there were really kind of 2 lefts. There were like 2 lefts. Yeah.
That's
So
Yeah,
normal.
that would be left, middle, and right.
yeah, yeah. So and then we had a couple of really great experiences. One was we just came upon, that was the fun thing about the self-guided. You never knew where your adventure was going to take you. You just like every time you turned around a corner, there was something like new and exciting that you might uncover. And so we came upon a winery, and I think it was early in the day. I think it was like probably 10 in the morning. But when you pass a winery, you stop at a winery.
Hey, why not?
Yeah. And they were open. So we ended up like buying a case, like each of us bought like a case of wine. They ended up letting us come in. I don't think it was open yet for, I don't know, but we knocked on the door. They let us in. They gave us like wine. They gave us like little hors d'oeuvres. We sat at a table, and then we like each of us bought a case of wine. There was three couples really. And then we left the winery and took a turn back on the path, and there was a soccer field, and there was a soccer ball sitting in the field with nets. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, and her fiance, they had just gotten engaged, were with us, and they're both really good soccer players. So my husband and his friend, rugby players, decided they were going to play my daughter and her husband in soccer. So I have the funniest video of this impromptu soccer match, and the boys, the soccer or the rugby players trying to tackle the soccer players, which was funny. And then yeah,
treasure.
Yeah. And then we came upon a church, and my daughter noticed it. There was a little owl that had gotten stuck in the iron fence. And it was like a little baby owl, and it was going to die. And it blended so much with the fence. I would have never seen it. So we ended up saving the baby owl. Yeah. Yeah. So it was just, I mean, it was the most, and we never knew where we were going to stay. There's like 4 levels of accommodations. So, it's like, low end, but maybe it was 3, middle end, and then high end. So we just like got the middle end, and every place we stayed was great. One of the places we stayed at, we ran into Rachel Ray. So I'm going to tell you where it was. We went to Montalcino. Yeah. And apparently her husband is from there. And so we were in a shop, and the next thing I know, my son-in-law, who's a chef and loves like cooking shows, and he's like, there's Rachel Ray, and she was walking up the street. Yeah. So cool. Yeah.
Don't ask her about cooking.
Who is Rachel Ray? I have no
It's a
idea.
person, dear.
I don't know who Rachel Ray is.
Oh, she's a chef.
I don't do any cooking.
Yeah, she's an American chef. She's kind of, she's been around for a while, so she's not as popular now. She was much more popular back in the probably 10 years ago. but apparently her husband, she's American, but her
Yeah.
husband's Italian and is from that area.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just never know, do you? It's all those little moments. That,
Yes. The little
Jewish
moments.
perhaps.
but
And
even
then
so,
we in Montalcino that night, the piazza was a
Mhm.
big, like there was a big thing going on at the piazza, and it was a band, and you know
Yeah.
what, the guy was singing Johnny Cash and Elvis. That's what he was singing.
That'd be
Yeah.
Must have known there was a lot of Americans in the audience.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think so. And then he would talk in Italian between songs to introduce the next song. So we were like lost, but every time he sang, we were like singing it with. Yeah, it was really fun.
I
Yeah.
noticed that here in shopping centres, often the music playing is in English. You know?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, as I said, I came to Italy, and I've got more English stuff here than I have in. There's more Italian stuff in Australia than there is in Italy.
And when you
Say
say
the shopping centres, yeah, they definitely
So all the
have
jackets all in English, all the
the
T-shirt logos,
writing.
and in Australia, all this stuff is Italian.
I
isn't
was
it
trying
funny?
to find a present for my niece's baby, and I wanted to get something with Italian writing on it, but everything at the market's got American stuff on it. You know, Mickey Mouse and
That's so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like where
Yeah.
you want to be is what you like. You know, it's like
Yeah.
so one of the places, it reminds me of maybe where you live. It was this really cool village called Castelnuovo del Abate. I don't know.
Abate? No,
Abate.
That's that movie. What's the name?
not from the movie, from Benvenuto al Sud. There's a movie. It's
Castelvetto.
really good. Probably
What is
not
it?
the
Is
same place.
it's probably the same. Castelvetto. Was it how to spell
Yeah, it sits the beautiful Romanesque church of Saint Antimo,
it? No, I don't know.
built of alabaster and travertine. So
Every,
that
every
was,
second every second corner's got a church, so there's probably a million of them.
and then we were in the Rocca de Orsia. Rocca de Orsia? Is it? Do you know where that area is? And then
I mean, we've been the whole of Italy, but to know individual towns, it's every 5 minutes. there's a
You
town.
went all over the
So,
place.
and then we went to and these were all within walking distance. We went to Bagno Vignoni. Bagno Vignoni.
Bagno Venoni. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I know
yeah.
that Bagno Venoni.
and then
Is that next to Rome?
San Kirko, Kiriciso or something. I don't know. I need an Italian lesson.
Give up while you're ahead.
Yeah. Well, if it was Spanish, I would do better. I don't know how to
Yeah.
enunciate.
That's why I put my GPS with the Australian speaker, so she can tell, oh, via, L-I, where are
Instead of saying via, she says via Roma.
Yes.
You're really Australian.
So tell me about where you live, because it sounds like a really neat place. And I just want people to like understand that, like, I want to immerse visually, like let them think about what it's like to be in a place like that. Cause we're so in America, it's like, I need to be 5 minutes from the grocery store.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
We've got a history here. This valley is a particular type of valley. We have this two distinct religions here. Not that I'm religious, but the Valdensians and the Catholics. And the Valdensians, actually, there's a replica city in America, Valdencia, where they've actually replicated a town from here, or a school and the old history in America, a copy of it. So we get a lot of people come from all over the world. Valdencia is Protestant sort of mixture of that sort of.
Just the people who didn't want to be Catholic, they went and did that.
Yeah, well,
right?
no, that was the Protestants and the Catholics.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
there was prosecution, wars, all sorts of stuff. Right?
So where in America is the city that you're talking about?
Valdencia. If you look up the
Valdez.
it's called Valencia. See.
Where is
so
it?
There's an actual copy of this, not our town, but this area in America.
Is it?
I
Would
can't
you know what
remember.
state it's in?
I can't remember
No,
the state. It's
couldn't tell you.
California.
Okay, I'll have to look at.
You'll
I'll
find
send
it.
Yeah.
it to you.
It's easy to
Yeah,
find it.
send it to me
Yeah,
so I can
it'd be
put it in the show
interesting.
notes. Yeah.
So we get a lot of Americans
So
coming
we get a lot of
into this
American.
valley.
We have a lot of American, a lot of different lines from around the world.
So how
it's
far are
very
you
multicultural.
driving? If I drove from Florence to,
From Florence, you wouldn't drive. You'd land into Turin Airport or Milan Airport.
oh, okay.
You wouldn't go to
So you're that
Florence. or you
far.
wouldn't go to
Okay.
Rome. You'd fly into Milan, or you'd fly locally between Rome to Turin, which is about an hour away from us, an hour and 2 minutes away.
So if I'm ever at Fashion Week, I'll come.
Absolutely.
If you're in
Yeah.
Rome,
I'll meet you.
but if you're in Rome, you would fly to Turin. It would cost you €30, whatever it is. It's cheap.
Well, yeah, you get trains are, you know,
No,
you
you
get
fly.
Too,
okay.
You fly. It's cheaper to fly than to train.
Yeah.
And then you would just either get picked up from Turin or drive an hour.
We'll come get you.
Oh, in your camper.
In my
Maybe,
camper.
no,
Yeah, in your camper. Do you still have your camper? Do you still have your camper? Yeah. So and
Many
so,
journeys in the camper.
all right.
It's a
And so you have an
mile.
Airbnb, right? You said you had an
Yes.
Airbnb. So
We're actually in the Airbnb. at
that's
the
so
moment.
cool.
It's just an apartments attached to my home that I built when we came.
It's great
Yeah.
because it's like the main house is sort of here, and then the apartment is the old. There was an old room and like a wood storage area. So Sam converted it.
Yeah, when people come, we kick out the cows and
It's
sheep.
great because we can have a holiday from our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me of the place where we were on the walking tour, and it had like 4 like rooms that they had converted into hotel rooms, and the people lived there too. And the bottom was just like maybe a 4 or 5 table restaurant. I guess so when the people stay there, they had a table to sit at.
Yeah.
And it was, and the bar sitting right there. It was just so quaint and so like homey. I loved it. Yeah.
We're very quaint here. We're medieval, you know, it's really the whole place is rock. It's all rock. The roofs are rock, and the buildings are all timber and rock. And as I said, there's only 10 adults here, and it's all little laneways and alleyways. And
so let me ask you, you said you paid $8,000. You searched for the cheapest house. And so how far did you sell that house, or is this the house?
We kept both. I bought the next door one for 4,000. I got to renovate it eventually, make another Airbnb in there.
Okay, so you renovated it. So you're talking North Fasten. Okay.
Yeah, I've got to renovate the other one next to us, but COVID and price and no work at the moment because of what's happening. We'll just put everything on hold until we're ready to finish them. I've got to finish this one off. I've got to finish the other one off. I've got a lot of work to do.
So is the one you're in that house you first moved to?
The one we're in is the first place we moved into. We live in there, and next to it, I built this little apartment here.
So the cheapest house you Googled was in this little village with with 8 other adults, because now you're the 9th and 10th.
The other 2.
So like, when you realized it was the cheapest one, and you realized that it was, you know, and how many kids? How many kids?
Well, now there's 6 in total, including our 2. There were 3 others, but that family moved out.
Okay. And then how close is the next town?
2 kilometers to the village, our village.
Okay, that's not far.
So you can walk there easily. There's restaurants and cafes, and 2 butchers and a grocery shop. So
I love how tourists come and they go, "Oh, we got lost in Italy." It's like every kilometer there's a town. It's not like, you know, US or like Australia where you drive for 3 weeks and see nobody. You know, every town. We go, this town's 2 kilometers, the next one's 2 kilometers, the next one's 5 kilometers, the next one, you know, there's towns the whole way, all the way to Turin. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So the kids go to Pinerolo, which is 30 kilometers away. They go to school there. So it's not like a big drama, you know.
Yeah. So 30 kilometers. I know a 5K is like 3.2 miles.
Oh, sorry.
So 30 kilometers is like 20 miles. Yeah. Right.
1.6. So roughly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you walk out the door. If we walk out the door and look to the right, you can see all of the Alps.
Nice.
All the snow on the Alps. I mean,
how
we're
beautiful.
Right at the Alps, so we get snow in winter. Beautiful, beautiful, cool summers, springtime. All the meadows are covered in wildflowers, and the cows are out there with their big bells, and the animals are all romping around.
Yeah.
It's very picturesque.
Yeah. As I said, most of the people that come, they're sort of like, they go do the touristy stuff, then they come here. This is really, Florence and Venice and Rome.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful, but it's not really, they've become touristy spots. You know, this is the place where people come, they go, oh my God, look at these people. They're still plucking cows. It could be cows walking in front of your door pooping, and it's just
Yeah.
that's the way it is. If you want dinner
Yeah.
with us, I'll go down.
So the last time right before we ended, it was kind of, we left this like cliffhanger about the chickens. So you have chickens.
I had chickens.
We had
You have
chickens
They're cryogenically preserved at the moment.
in the freezer.
Yeah. So you
And
make
rabbits.
your food
We
and
have rabbits as well.
oh, you have rabbits. Yes.
Yeah,
And they're
so-
not, you
so-
don't name them. You don't name them.
Oh, yeah.
We've only got one named, and his
Tucker.
name is Wilbur from Charlotte's Web.
There's a couple of fry pan.
No, they're not. They're not
Yes.
named.
Yes. And
They're
so is
very young.
Wilbur going to become food, or is?
Not if I have anything to say. about
Oh,
it.
okay.
He's
Good.
still
Once
a-
he's named,
Pardon?
once
His
he's
name's
named,
Wilbur.
you can't kill him.
No,
Oh,
he's
no.
Wilbur, and he's very friendly.
That doesn't
Okay.
affect me. I'm Calabrian. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but there goes. We name them so they come quicker. They know who.
Yeah.
they're coming.
Yeah. So chickens, you don't have any right now. Are you going to get
We
some
had
more?
them, but no, we don't have them anymore. It's just too much. We eat.
Because we're doing keto,
We
we
eat
eat
20
too
eggs
many
a day.
eggs.
Oh,
So it
yeah.
wasn't worthwhile.
Got
And
it.
the neighbors had chickens, so it
Okay.
didn't-
Do you have any other pets besides Wilbur?
We've got 3 cats, Mabel, Minty, and Teddy Bear. And we've got a dog called Fiume, which means river, and he was kind of abandoned, and so we adopted him. He's
Oh,
lovely.
so nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
so-
So when your kids went to school, which is
Mhm.
about 20 miles away, how big was the school?
Now,
Compare-
the primary schools that were local. Then secondary school is the 2 towns down. And then
Okay.
now the high school or the senior years
Mhm.
are in Pensacola, but they're specializing in arts and all that.
Okay.
So when we came, they were 8 and 10, and they went to the school in the village 2 kilometers away. Spoke no Italian at all, and our son is high functioning autism.
Mm-hmm.
And the school was fantastic. They really went out of their way to help both of the kids with the language and just fitting in, and it was great. There was
Yeah.
no problems. I was really worried.
Yes,
very
I
worried,
bet.
obviously about both kids, but mainly about Luca.
She
our
was
son.
worried. Why they can't speak Italian? I said, don't worry about it.
But
they'll
they were
speak."
okay. They were okay.
And
Anyway.
yeah, I guess kids have a different way of talking too,
Yeah,
they
picked it
play
up.
and yeah.
Because we didn't realize that the school years changed. Like, we didn't really think about it. So when we arrived, we weren't in time to get them into the school year starting straight away. So they had to wait. So they had a long period of time where they weren't in school. They were just playing with the local kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they were speaking a different language because
They
they
were
speak a
speaking
dialect. Speak a
Mm.
language called patois, which is a mixture between French and Italian. And so it's like they were learning patois.
So when they got to
No
school, they
idea.
were speaking patois, and all the teachers go, "Oh, what have you been
There's
teaching them?"
basically Piemontese, which is the regional
Mm.
language. Then within the culture, there's another one called patois, and then there's the Italian. So there's 3 basically languages, and every town you go to has their own little dialect of
Their
some
own
sort.
patois.
I now remember that from my trip.
And they
That
know,
rings a
oh, you're from
bell.
here.
Yeah.
From the
Yeah.
trip when we went through the walking tour and one of the towns we were in, I remember our driver for the guy, he spoke a language that started with the P.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So
And so
fun.
each area, and you'll find because of the Valdentian, because there was an actual group in Calabria. And so I think I speak a dialect of Calabrian dialect. And I was, oh, that sounds Calabrian, some of the words they say. And he goes, well, the Valdentians were in Calabria, and there still are a group there, and they've come up here. And so you'll find that the language has been transferred from over there to here as well. So I'll pick a lot of words that are in my dialect, which is the opposite end of Italy. So it was very interesting.
So did your kids learn this dialect first and then?
No,
A
that
tiny
a
bit,
tiny
and then they
Okay.
went to
Got it.
Tuscany.
So more of the natives speak that, but in school
Yeah.
they teach regular.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
no,
Got
they
it.
actually
That's what I
teach
know.
patois at school too. In the
Oh.
local area here, they teach it. They don't want to lose
Mhm.
the language. So most of the kids here don't speak Italian. They
Mhm.
speak it, but not at home. They all speak patois, their dialect.
Ah,
So
so
they learn
interesting.
Italian at school.
I
It was
love
funny
that.
because our daughter, Karina, like when she talks to her Italian grandparents in Australia, who are Calabrese Calabrian and Sicilian from the south, when she speaks to them, she speaks to them in Italian, so formal, proper Italian. And Sam's mum went, "Ooh, are you posh? You know, you're stuck up. You're speaking proper Italian. You know."
That's funny.
He's joking, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You can really hear the difference, and to most people, Karina actually sounds Italian, like she's never left or she was born here. So Luca doesn't. Luca sounds like an Aussie, like my wife.
Well, because he watches a lot of YouTube videos that are in English, right?
He just
because
of his autism, he hasn't picked up the dialect.
Yeah.
And so when he speaks Italian, like my wife doesn't roll the R's, so you can tell straight away.
I can't roll my R.
So you can
I've always had trouble rolling my R's.
With Karina's like she's an Italian girl.
So what do you guys do? Because it's almost like you're on vacation. Where you live. Yeah, it's like you're on vacation. So what do you do when you go? Do you ever go on vacation or not? Do you never have a desire to go on vacation?
I mean, as I said, I take off in the car, and it could be like, oh, let's go for a drive. We'll end up, 6 hours away or something. So
okay. And it could be a different country, right? Because you're up there near.
Well, definitely France. You can do a day trip to France to a place called Briançon, which is just over the border. It's beautiful. It's a walled city, and you can go over there and not understand what they're saying. It's all beautiful French.
Now, do you travel through the mountains to go there, or?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Not through the mountains,
over the Alps.
Yeah. Now you said you weren't. You said you weren't religious. And so,
I like to say I'm an atheist, thank God.
Oh, okay. So I find that interesting because didn't you say, Lisa, when we talked last, that you felt accepted because you went in the procession to the graveyard?
Oh, listen, I don't think, you don't really need to be religious to attend a funeral. And obviously I respect other people's religious beliefs, and I felt that was really special, and to be part of that, walking from the church to the cemetery through the village with the 500 or so people in the village, because everyone comes out when there's a death that's local, and all the bells ring, and it's very special. So
I love that, because when you said you're either Catholic or you're this other
Valdensian,
it sounds good though. I was thinking, you had to belong to one of those to be accepted.
I cook for the Salvation Army, which is a Christian organization. I'm a chef there, but I cook for the next door who's Muslim, and I do halal, and I do vegan, and I do all sorts of stuff. I just it's not that I don't believe in the God thing, but it doesn't mean
it sounds very inclusive. It sounds like a very inclusive area, which is very nice. Yeah.
And that's purely because of the prosecution of the Valdensians and the history of the Catholics who killed them and all this sort of stuff. So it's become very open. A lot of people from the world. We bring people. We introduce to the locals. All the bars and restaurants here, they have all sorts of. The menus are Italian. They're locally regional foods.
It's still very traditional, but quite accepting.
I've noticed since we've been here, I was particular since I've been here, because there was no internet here when we first came, and then I put it on and organised it. Now everyone's got internet.
Oh, that's good.
Sam, can you order me this part? And it's about how
you're the tech guy.
When we first came, a lot of the farmers would come over and say, I heard you can get my part for my tractor on the computer, like it was a shock. And Sam would look it up and it would be like 20 euros instead of 70 euros. So we had this little group of farmers in our kitchen all lining up, ready to order their bits and pieces.
Wow. You brought the 21st century to them.
We did, because I remember there was 2 boys who lived in the house next to us, and they were young teenagers. And I gave one of them my little digital camera when we were out on the paddock. They had their goats with them, and they hadn't used one at all before. And so I showed them how it worked, and that they could see the picture that they took. And the older boy took the camera and he went and he took a photo of every single one of the goats. And there was like 20 goats. So he went around, he came back, he's showing us the goats. And then he gave it to his brother. And his brother went around and took a photo of every single one of the goats as well. And they were we showed them Google Maps. They were nearly, falling over. They couldn't believe it.
Oh, how cute.
The thing with Italy is that a lot of a lot of people who move here move into their own areas. There's got to be 15,000 other Englishmen around or women. You lose that connection. You have to really be the person that goes out to the bar, meets all the locals. Staying within, we have English friends here, and nice people, don't get me wrong, but they don't go anywhere. They stay in their place. They hardly shop locally, or there's a lot of people like that just confined. And you find the South in the Abruzzo, there's a lot of Americans that have actually bought up a village, and they're all American. It's a bit like going to Spain, and you lose that.
But I mean that's a safety zone thing. You, Sam, and Lisa are very unusual people. I mean, you just like threw safety out the little friggin' window.
Well, what I'm saying is you can't really say that's Italy then. It becomes like there's a lot of complaining, a lot of this, that you did. So, you came to Italy. Everything stops at 12:30. That's it. Too bad. It closes. That's the way it is.
Yes.
You didn't come here. I didn't come here. If it was the same as Australia, I would have stayed in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember when we were talking in the first episode or the part one, and I know that there's the history with your father, Sam. Did you move to that area because of the history with your father, or what made you end up there where you are?
Well, we ended up here. My dad lives in the South. I lived in the South.
Oh, okay.
So quite the opposite. We moved here the first time. We moved here because we thought we had a camper van. We wanted to travel a bit, and we didn't want to drive 7 hours before we left Italy. You can only put up with so many churches and castles. After that, you want to move to somewhere else. So we thought, we had no money. We had 20 grand when we came. So 20,000 Australian, which is about 15,000 in the US or even less. And so we thought, we'll come up here. There's a good chance that we'll find some work. I'll do something, And so that's basically why we picked here.
So, and it's more rural, just less expensive because it doesn't have as many.
The less expensive reason for the house being so cheap, not only that I bought it at a time where the properties were starting to crash, is that the government brought in taxes for second properties, and the Italians, I've got to pay $20. No, sell it. And so most of these villages in the mountains, even though to them it's the end of the world, it's only an hour from major cities. Major big city, they get rid of them because what are they going to do with them? They're not going to sit here. They're going to pay taxes on them, which is only we pay €200 a year.
And did you say it's a second home for them?
Yeah, if it's a second home, you pay a tax.
Okay. So you can pick up, like when somebody has a second home and then they're like they don't want it anymore, you can pick them up at a good deal.
The principal home, you don't pay taxes.
Got it.
Yeah. But the second, your second home or your seconda casa, they say, you pay a tax, but the tax is about $200 a year, euros a year. So it's about 220 US.
Yeah.
That's enough. But the Italians, so that's fine. And so what happens? These places used to be their grandmothers or their, and they've moved on and they're further down the valley, and they're just, what are they going to do with it? Might as well sell it. The kids don't want to be there. So you buy, there's cheaper places in the mountains. The supposedly dying town, but to us, it's not a dying town. So it's a rustic town. It's really nice.
Cool.
There are dying towns.
All right. I want to talk about your workshop that's coming up because that sounded really interesting. And it's called Desire Mapping Italy, I think.
No, Life Mapping.
Life Mapping. Life Mapping. It's about desires, right? So and I'd love to give it a plug because it sounds really fascinating, and I love you guys. So what can you tell me a little bit about it, and what we'll put the link in the show notes so people can sign up for it.
Yeah, well, it started out, I was writing a book and I thought, I'm just going to write everything that all the processes and the things that we went through when we decided to make the move. And so I put it all into a format. So I started off with the dream, and then, arriving and thriving. And I just thought it would make a great workshop just to introduce people to how to actually make the move, because I find that I'm in a lot of groups on, say, Facebook or Instagram and so forth, where people who want to move overseas to Italy, they'll come in with all these concerns and questions and little things that are not that difficult to solve. And they'll ask the same question in 20 different Facebook groups. And they'll get a million different answers, ranging from people who are in the Facebook groups who just absolutely bag everything Italian, even though they're living there, or who don't have the dream anymore, who are quite sort of.
Yeah, it's almost like they're looking for reasons to not go, to deny their dream. They're looking for reasons that you're crazy. And so
So they ask the same question, and they just go round and round in circles, and they never actually get into an action. And to me, those little tiny details you can find out in a half an hour, and you can get a definite question answered. You don't have to keep going and going. And with Life Mapping Italy, it's far more about your mindset, about being courageous, about really making your dream visual and alive.
Yes.
The plan is the first one is about mindset. End the story. Because people go, oh, can I get my visa? Can I this? Well, listen, if we have to deal with every country in the world to work out how you're going to get your visa, that's really up to you to
it's
work
more
that
about
out.
empowering the people in the workshop
to take a step.
Because I've talked to other people before and done calls, to help people, and they've come on, and I've said to them, well, where is your embassy? Have you been to your embassy? Do you know the address, the phone? Have you called them? And they say, oh, we don't know.
Yeah,
so
it's not a matter.
Find out and come back and tell us.
It's not something you can serve on a platter, because there's so many variables. Every country's got their own variable. Now, all right, we have a lot of Americans talking to us. We have a lot of English. It's totally different people. Now Brexit's come. You'd have to have an expert for every single little thing. When all you have to do is call the embassy, ask them what's going on. Is there any heritages, any things like that? So we find that the first one we're going to do is about mindset. Just decide what you want to do, whether you're going to come, and we do it. As I said, I do a little exercise with them to, create that possibility, or create a possibility in your life. Because some people have a financial issue. Some people have, my partner doesn't want to do an issue. Some people might have completely different issues. But with this exercise, they should be able to say, okay, this is what I want to concentrate on, and move on from there. If you don't get that, as I said to Lisa over and over as you've been designing this course, if we don't address that issue, it doesn't matter. You can tell them 100 things. People do motivational courses every 5 minutes. 99% don't act on them because they haven't, figured out. I help people buy houses, and I helped the guy buy a house in Sicily and different places. And I said that there's non-negotiables. Pick everything you want and don't want, to the amount of rooms, to do you want stairs, do you not want stairs? And he did that, and I went away for 1 week, and the second week we found a house, and he bought it $200,000 later. Yeah, because you have to be clear what you want. Most people come and go, oh, I don't know what I want.
I maybe want to live near the ocean,
maybe in the
country, a little village with a city, and I want the mountains, and I don't want anybody near me, but I want to be part of a community. And so it's just kind of really becoming clear about, not that you want to just move to Italy, but what do you want your life to be like? How do you want your Italian life to look? And make it really clear in your mind, so that you're almost living it before you get there.
The thing is that each town is like America and Australia. You move from Sydney to Melbourne, you roughly know what you're going to get. It's similar culture, similar language, similar. But here, literally from one town to the other, it's a totally different culture. And I say to people, first thing you do is go into the local bars. Keep on going. I went to the bars every single day. Why? Because that's where the people are. The people, the workers, the town, not the tourist bar, the bars, proper bars with all the locals. And that's where you learn straight away. Do I fit in here or do not fit in here?
Yeah,
You'll
I mean,
know.
you know, like I liked your idea where, I mean, you did decide to move before you actually was a little crazy, but you
Yeah.
know, like doing the camper thing and doing, although they have to figure out an address, but yeah, but like doing an adventure first and doing your research first, but doing that because I was collecting quotes today and a couple of them really struck me, but one of them is, what was it? It was something about, well, here's a good one. Sometimes later becomes never. Do it
Yes.
now. Sometimes
Do
later
it
becomes
now.
never.
Don't wait.
Yeah.
Even if you have to rent
Yeah.
somewhere just for a little while to see. After a few weeks, you'll know whether that town is accepting of you or not accepting of you.
Yeah. Here's the one I was looking for. It is wiser to find out than suppose.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, because we're always like, oh, we think we know, but then you know, suppose this, suppose that, but like find out.
Exactly right. And I mean, I had a small membership going for a little while, which isn't at the moment. And two of the members in the membership, one of the ladies had a place in Italy, and the other lady was planning to move across with her family, which she did. And the original woman let her use her home as a base. And she also arranged for that family to meet all of their friends in that town to get the lay of the land. And it was just so lovely. So it's about creating connections with people here, with expats that are here.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've
and I mean, it's so funny because people will have, you know, you think, oh, I like knitting or I like soccer. Well, you can like a country and have that in, I mean, that can be like a desire or an interest in a country and a culture is as much a hobby or, you know, connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like we have Renovating Italy, and in a Facebook group, we've got 4,000 people, more than 4,000 now, just renovating.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So we all help each other.
The thing is, when people come over, they tend to go to hotels, stuff for tourism. If you use Airbnb or you go to people's B&Bs and the ones that actually are family run, then you start to understand, then you can start talking, then you start, like, I mean, people come here, we introduce the whole valley, we introduce the people to the bar, they're not, can we buy a house here? You know, I mean, it doesn't take long. I mean, houses get sold here because of, you know, not just because of us, but because we introduce the culture.
Yeah.
You go to a hotel, you just pay, you stay, you go and have a look around, you're off. That's not really exploring Italy. You don't know the culture.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing I love about bed and breakfast. I'm a big bed and breakfast like person. I always thought that I'd like to have on my own because I love meeting people and you really find out so much more when you have those intimate connections. At bed and breakfast, you know, you sit and eat breakfast and you not only meet the person who like runs the bed and breakfast, but you also meet the other people that are staying there. And it can be so serendipitous that, you know, when you meet these people, it's so great. So, all right, so let's wrap it up. So what would you say to somebody who is contemplating coming to Italy? What, you know, obviously it sounds like they should go to these little, like do an Airbnb type of thing and go to the pubs, right? What else?
Life mapping Italy course.
Yes, the life mapping Italy course. Yes, we'll definitely, love that.
If you're not sure what you're doing, if you think your mindset, if you're just thinking about it still, then you'd have to make a decision. Your mindset is what happens first. Now, after your mindset, or you become clear that you really want to do this, then you've got steps to follow, and that's our next one, and the next one, and the next one.
Well, isn't it even deeper than that? Where like your gut, like, you know, if something is coming up like a lot as like a desire, and that's probably why I had the desire word in my head, then you should follow it.
Exactly. And
so
you wait, them, when you finally do it, you think, I wish I'd done it like 20 years ago. 10 years
Yes.
ago.
Yes.
And a lot of people I notice say, oh, we're waiting till we retire, which is fine, but you don't know what's going to happen in the meantime. And if you wait too long,
I speak to a lot of women who are waiting till their husband retires to figure out what it's like they're sitting there going, and I'm like no, like your dreams are your dreams. Yeah.
Go and do it.
Yeah.
Like my coach said many years ago, when you say, I hated this job, I hated this job, I hated this job, I hated this. So she said, when are you going to quit? Oh, I can't quit because of money. Blah, 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 blah. And then every week she'd come up with when you're going to quit. And one day we just quit. And then everything falls into place.
Yes. And you don't believe in God? Why? What does that happen?
It just happens it's
There's a greater power. I don't, there's something out there that's controlling everything and letting us live our,
Unless you give up control of your brain. I mean, if you decide that I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to quit, then things step into, as we say, we put our past in our future. We look into the future through our past. So, I didn't like that because in the past, this is what happened. Well, if we're living into the past, that's all you're going to get. Unless you're prepared to say, oh, that's it, I'm going to quit. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You have no opening. You have no opening for the future.
Yeah.
You're just regurgitating the same stuff you did with everything else. And you'll find the people that have money problems and say, I can't come because of money. Oh, the whole life is about money.
Well, you're a prime example of not having money or very little money.
We did it.
We just that lesson. That lesson is Google cheapest house in whatever city you want to live in, and then go to the next city if it's too expensive.
With no money and two young children.
It's like when you're 20 and you think you need to have your ideal home at 20. You don't. You live with the $50,000 house, then you move up to an $80,000 house, and you move. People get the $1 million loans for their home because it's their dream home, and then one gets pregnant, it's all over. I think we're greedy. I think it's bred into our heads that we need to have this.
Yeah.
Well,
and I do think that the society is going back to more minimalism, more needing less, and really examining like what.
I can remember when we were planning to come, every time I would go to the shops and think, oh, I really like that. I think, well, there's no point. Why would I buy that? We're moving in like 6 months. And it just broke that cycle of commercialism in your life. But you don't need that stuff.
Yeah.
It's, like you said about minimalism, it's hard to be a minimalist in Australia when the property costs us $700,000 for a house. It's you have no choice. At least here, I can be a minimalist. It cost me $8,000. I don't care. There's snow, so what? I put the heater on.
So, and nowadays you can learn different languages really easily online. There's and you can go Google stuff. Like you can type in a phrase and it can give you the phrase. So you can we have French guests visit. We have Google Translate. He's visited 3 times Airbnb. They keep on coming, the same people. We have no idea what they're saying.
He has no idea what they're saying. No Italian.
And we still have fun and we still go for
We have the best nights when they come. Last time they bought a guitar and we were singing French folk songs.
Oh, fun.
It was lovely.
Fun. All right, we got to wrap it up. I love you guys. I have enjoyed our time together. Air hugs or whatever you call them. So hopefully we'll get to hug in person one day. Next time I'm back your way. Definitely when we do the World Cup in France. I'm going to look you guys up.
No problem.
Yeah. All righty.
Lovely. Thank you for that.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraveragegrandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at notyouraveragegrandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own, not your average life.